You know the sound. That frantic, scraping noise on the other side of the door. It's a sound that can absolutely ruin your door frame, not to mention your peace of mind. But what if that scratching isn't just a bad habit? What if it's actually a message? Well, in this explainer, we're going to put on our detective hats to figure out what your dog is trying to say and exactly how to answer back. And this really gets to the very heart of it, doesn't it? The scratching. It isn't your dog trying to be bad. It's pure communication. They are trying to tell you something really important. And, our job is just to learn how to speak their language.
Okay, so let's get into it. To solve this whole mystery, we have to make one really crucial shift in how we think about it. Instead of seeing a problem we need to punish, we've got to start seeing it as a clue that we need to investigate. And this right here is where our detective work really begins.
To crack this case, we have got to uncover the motive. Look, a dog doesn't scratch a door out of spite. They do it because, well, it's worked for them before, or because they're being driven by some really powerful emotion. So our whole investigation is about finding that root cause.
This is a big question, right? Every single scratch has a story behind it. Are they feeling anxious? Are they bored? Do they just need to go outside? Or are they just so excited they can't contain themselves? Answering this question is the absolute key to cracking the case and finding a solution that actually lasts.
So let's line up our usual suspects. Most of the time, door scratching boils down to one of these four things. You've got separation anxiety, which is a genuine panic. Then there's learned behavior, which is simple cause and effect. When I scratch, the door opens. Boredom, of course, is just a cry for something to do. And then there's FOMO, that's fear of missing out, which is that intense feeling of, hey, the party's on the other side of the store. So here's your first move, and it's so important. You have to gather evidence. Your most valuable tool as a dog detective is just a simple notebook. Start logging the time of day, what the trigger was, did you just grab your keys, did a delivery truck pull up, and pay attention to your dog's body language. I promise you, this log will show you the pattern, and that pattern will point you right to the motive.
And this is exactly why our detective approach is so much better. The old way, punishment, it only looks at the symptom, the scratching itself. All it does is increase fear, and a lot of times it makes things even worse, especially if anxiety is the real culprit. But our new approach, the investigation, it actually builds trust and lets us solve the real problem, which leads to a real, lasting change.
All right, now that we have a pretty good idea of what's causing it, it's time to open up our training toolkit. The whole philosophy here is something called positive reinforcement. See, we're not going to focus on stopping the scratching. We're going to teach our dogs a better, more polite way to communicate with us.
Positive reinforcement is a total game changer. Instead of getting into this battle of wills with your dog, training becomes a fun game. We're going to reward our dogs for doing something else, something better than scratching. This builds up so much trust. It makes the connection crystal clear in their mind, and it gives them an approved way to get what they want.
Okay, tool number one is the go to your bed command. This technique is fantastic because it teaches something called an incompatible behavior. Think about it. A dog literally cannot be scratching the door and lying calmly on their bed at the same time. You're giving them a clear job to do, and you're redirecting all that frantic energy into a calm, positive action.
Now, what if your dog is scratching just because they have to go out? Well, the problem isn't their message, it's their method. The quiet bell system is such a brilliant solution for this. You're giving them a super clear, non-destructive way to say, hey, human, potty break, please. It lets them communicate their need, and it saves your door. It's a win-win.
And for those dogs who are scratching out of just pure bouncing off the walls excitement, the sit and stay protocol is going to be your new best friend. It teaches them impulse control. The rule becomes super simple. A calm, polite sit makes the door open. Frantic scratching keeps it closed. It doesn't take them long to learn that calmness is the magic key that opens up their world. So, while we're busy training these great new behaviors, we also have to play a little defense. We do that by managing the environment. See, every single time your dog gets a chance to practice scratching, that habit just gets stronger. So we're going to secure the scene to make our training way more effective. These are your immediate, practical tools. A baby gate is probably the easiest way to just block access altogether. You can also get these clear plastic door protectors that make scratching really unsatisfying for them. And for those anxious pups, calming aids like pheromone diffusers can help lower their overall stress level, which reduces the urge to scratch in the first place.
This one is absolutely non-negotiable. It is a huge part of the solution. So often, scratching is just a symptom of a bored dog with way too much energy. A dog who's had a good long walk, maybe a game of fetch, and worked on a puzzle toy. Well, that's a dog who is far more likely to want to curl up for a nap than go looking for trouble at the door. Okay, so we've covered the most common reasons. But sometimes the evidence points to something, well, a bit more complex. That frantic, non-stop scratching that only happens when you're gone, that might not just be a bad habit. It could be a sign of real panic.
And you know what? In those cases, it is perfectly okay to admit that the case is a little too tough to solve on your own. Sometimes, the smartest thing a detective can do is call for backup from an expert. This chart breaks down the difference really clearly. A bored dog might scratch for a bit, then get distracted and wander off. But a dog with severe separation anxiety is in a full-blown state of panic. You'll see other signs too, like excessive drooling, howling, or even trying to escape in ways that could hurt them. If what you're seeing lines up with that column on the right, it's definitely time to get some professional help.
And these letters after their name really matter. A certified professional dog trainer or a board-certified veterinary behaviorist has specialized knowledge to create a plan that's tailored just for your dog. They can guide you through some pretty complex training and help figure out if medication might be needed to get your dog's brain to a place where it can even learn new things.
So with some careful investigation, a little positive training, and smart management, we can absolutely solve this mystery. We can finally close the case on door scratching and bring some peace and quiet back to the household. But there is one final piece to this puzzle.
This, right here, is the secret weapon. It's consistency. If one person in the house is enforcing the go-to-your-bed rule, but another person just opens the door when the dog scratches, your dog is getting mixed messages, and the training is just not going to work. Everybody has to be on the same team, using the same commands and the same rewards. That's the language dogs understand best. And really, when you boil it all down, that's what this is all about. By taking the time to understand your dog and work with them patiently and positively, you're doing so much more than just fixing a behavior problem. You are building a deeper, more communicative relationship that's based on trust and respect. You know, learning to figure out what that scratch on the door means is like learning a new word in your dog's language. It just opens up a whole new level of understanding. So the real question isn't just about how to stop the scratching. It's what other messages have you been missing?